Right. I hope I set everything up right. Just bear with me. I know I'm a bit late, and I told YouTube I was going to be. And if you don't mind, I'm just gonna change me shoes. Ah, hello, sweetie. Here's Marley. He's not well, so yeah. Oh, sweetie, poor thing. Hey guys. Yeah, today is not going to plan at all. What are you doing, Hopi? Is there a fly? Oh goodness. There's a fly. I've got our first drama. I'm just gonna take off my shoes. Yeah, so like today I was going to film a bunch of videos and that just hasn't gone to plan. So here I am live streaming. Yeah, I had a bunch of videos I wanted to make. Hello! And those videos just aren't going to get made. I don't know how much time I have today, but Mum's at the gym, so... what else do I want? Boots. Okay, well, so things to talk about. I mean, I still plan to make those videos, so I won't go into that stuff, but oh, goodness me. How's my picture looking? What happened to the thing that... So I'm really like... What? What? Okay, it was right. And... Oh, they've changed the thing again. That's annoying. Okay, well, that looks okay, I think. Can you hear me okay and all that? All right. So, gosh, I don't even know what I talked about the last time I was on. So much has happened. Hello, sweetie. Thank you for coming in the video. Hey. Poor thing. Oh, he's gonna make me cry again. Oh shit, this is embarrassing. Yeah, you're making me cry live. So yeah, Marley, he's not doing well. And yeah, that's why I was late, because I was just like calling the vet for a bit of advice. Oh damn, I shouldn't have live streamed, hey. Hey, you can go up if you want, you can do whatever you want. I'm just gonna get some tissues, sorry guys. Hey, sweetie. Oh yeah, well this is embarrassing. Oh gosh, crying's so like horrible and ugly, but like the thing that I hate the most is just like it makes a mess of my face, and I don't like being sniffly, but that's what's going on. Poor thing, and he keeps looking at me, which is sad. Yeah, so like I was going to make videos, but he keeps coming to me for help, I think. You can see he's just panting a lot, which gives you a hint what's going on there. Yeah, so like I'm not good with people, but when it comes to dogs, I think at least in my family, I'm the best at reading what's going on with them, and so they come to me. And so he's coming to me for help, and there's nothing I can do for him at the moment. I'm sorry, Marley. Hey, you wanted some attention? That's okay. Oh, poor thing. And yeah, so because he keeps coming to me for help, I'm just too distracted to make the videos I was going to make. So here I am. What's going on with him? He's got end-stage lung cancer. And, you know, he's technically my brother's dog. My brother's off to Bali. Was meant to be yesterday, but their flight got cancelled or delayed, so they're flying off today. And yeah, so I'm looking after him, and I'm just concerned. And like last Monday, I thought this is too much, um, but no one sort of believes me. There's things I notice in dogs that no one else notices. So, like when my little dog got sick a couple years ago, the first thing I noticed was like his voice changed because he was always having, like issues with his stomach. But when I heard his voice change, I was like, that's not right. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And it turned out, he had immune mediated thrombocytopenia. When they did I think it was a CT scan, they could see like there was a whole bunch of stuff around his throat. So he probably was bleeding because that stops your platelets from stopping the bleeding. So he probably had a bit in his gut and then something to do with his throat as well. Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm gonna cry again. But yeah, so like, and then when I was telling the vets and the specialists, like, I noticed his voice was off, and then they do this scan and they find his throat actually had some issue. They were like, how did you notice that? And I'm like, well, one, I'm a vocalist, so I pay attention to voices. And two, I know my dogs really well. Animals are so much easier than people. And yeah, so with Marley, I think both the dogs have a sense that, like, if they're uncomfortable, they come to me. So, like, the boys watch rugby and they'll yell at the TV. And Marley, he's a rescue dog. So we got him when he was at least a year old, probably older than that, maybe one up to 3 years at the oldest. We're really not sure. That's the trouble with rescue dogs. You don't always know how old they are. But he definitely had some PTSD because when he first moved in with us, if you moved your arm too quickly, he'd flinch because he thought he was going to get hit. Like, that's the level of, I don't know what happened to him before. And then when the boys shout at the TV, as if, like, this is a weird thing people do with sport when they shout at the TV, because, like, the people you're shouting at on the TV can't hear you, so what's the point? But yeah, of course, Marley he must have been shouted at a lot before we rescued him. So yeah, whenever the rugby's on, he'd come in here and stay in the room with me, and Hope would often stay as well. But I mean, Hope's my dog, so he's more attached to me in that way. But yeah, no, Marley comes to my room for comfort. Same thing if there's a storm, they'll often come to my room. And then, yeah, I think they sort of get the idea that I can read them better, but also I pay more attention to them, I guess, because I'm not interested in normal human stuff. So yeah, I pay more attention to the dogs. I think they pick up on that, and so when they're having some kind of trouble, they'll come to me, and that's what he's doing at the moment. I mean, he loves my brother. That's his favorite person in the whole world. Like, his mood actually increases when he's home. But yeah, even when he's home, I get Marley coming and asking me for help a little bit. But now he's off, and yeah, and it's so frustrating that I can't do anything to help him. So, like last Monday, I was telling my brother while he was still here, like, maybe you should think about whether or not you need to let him go before you leave on this trip, because I don't think he's going to last the 2 weeks that you're away. But yeah, no one sort of believed me that he's at that stage. Just like in terms of his breathing and other behaviors and sort of the look in his eyes, because, like, I've had guinea pigs. There's probably still guinea pig videos on my channel. And when guinea pigs, I notice when they're on the way out, and they decline really fast. They're prey animals, so they don't show any weakness until they can't help it. The sign that tells you your guinea pigs are about to go is their eyes get really sunken, and I can already see that in Marley. I mean, his eyes have like these little lumpy things anyway, so it's a little bit hard, it's a little bit subtle, but to me, that's what it looks like. So that was what I was thinking last week, and now he's having trouble walking around, and he's eating less. We've been trying different kinds of food. He's not on dry food anymore. I actually looked up, like, what's the best food for this situation, and so the wet food is the right thing, but because of the lung cancer, he can't breathe as well, and so that affects swallowing, and also, in the hopes that it wasn't. So this has been going on for a little while, and in the hopes that it wasn't lung cancer, um, uh, he had some antibiotics in case there was any fungal things going on, and then now he's on steroids to reduce inflammation. um, but so the antibiotics, I think, have probably messed up his stomach, and then the changes in diet, because he stopped, like, he was throwing up his dry food, so we switched to wet food, and that's helped that. But because he's changing food all the time, hello, sweetie, it's gonna make me cry again. You want a pat? You want a pat? Because he keeps switching wet food, and then there's some wet food that he likes more than others, but he sort of changes his mind. And then boiled chicken, like, I was just feeding him boiled chicken by hand because he didn't want to eat anything else. I can't believe he's making an appearance as well on this live stream. I'm making it even sadder, babe. Yeah. And so he's just standing around a lot. I think he wants to get up on my bed, but it's a bit of effort, so he's not doing it. Anyway, what was I saying? His stomach, because he's changing food a lot. Dogs don't adapt to big changes in diet as well as we do. I've got him on some probiotics, the same ones that Hope has when he has issues. I mean, Hope's on him every day, but I'm giving Marley twice a day in the hopes that'll help. But yeah. Don't you like that, do you? So, like, yeah, with his stomach being off, that's not helping. Like, when you have a sore stomach, you feel crap all around, and then he's got the lung cancer on top of that. So, yeah, it's just, I'm doing as much as I can, like, I made the suggestion, maybe he needs to be let go. The family was like, no, he still seems okay, and la 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 la, and I'm like, well, okay. So yeah, I'm trying to do the best by him in terms of looking after him, giving him the probiotics, giving him his medication, which is the steroid. Because we decided, like, by the time it got picked up, it's just like, it's too bad, and there's no point doing chemo and all that. Like, dogs don't tolerate it that well. We just make his quality of life worse. So it's all palliative care. And yeah, but he's asking me for help, and I just can't do anything else. This afternoon when Mum gets back, I might, like, just take him for a short walk up and down the street, because I think he wants to go out. He just can't walk very far without getting really out of breath. But I need to talk to Mum as well. Like, I just called the vet and the reception, and was trying to find out when his usual vet is in, because I'm not 100% up to speed. Like, my brother took notes, but it'd be better if I can just talk to the vet myself and get a better idea of things. And yeah, so I'll talk to Mum. I'm supposed to work tomorrow, which is when the vet is available, but depending on what we decide, I don't know. So that's the terrible story of what's happening with Marley. I'm sorry. It's just... And yeah, because I was just talking to the vet on the phone, I've sort of lost the ability to hide, like, a lot of the negative emotions. I think since my last big depression, I've just, like, and the other thing is, like, I can't predict when I'm going to get emotional, and so it just happens, and I just start crying. And yeah, so I have no control over that, whether it's depression or, like, a situation like this. And yeah, the weird thing is, like, I was doing fine until I had to talk to someone about it. And yeah. And now he's coming again today. I know, sweetie. See, he still wants something from me. He wants some comfort. And there's not a lot I can do. And you can see he's standing a lot. He should just sit down and relax, but I think, his stomach feels off. His muscles are just not feeling right. Oh, sweetie, I don't have anything. Yeah? Yeah, I'm sorry. He likes a lot of companionship, so... Yeah, anyway, so... That's distracting. That's not how I thought this live stream would go. I had other things I was going to start with, but then, he comes in and, I was talking to the vet or the receptionist, and I think part of the problem is, I have strong views on suffering and also, having depression. I mean, I don't even want to be here. So I think I'm probably a little bit more sensitive to the idea of suffering and the idea that he's suffering. And he has an option to get out of this if we let him. Whereas I just have to keep going. Because here in Australia, in my state, I think we finally legalized euthanasia for humans, but I think that I don't know if that has kicked in, what date that happens, and it's got to be the whole maybe a year to live kind of thing, and you need to see a certain number of doctors. I don't really know how it is. Yeah, it's cloudy in Sydney at the moment, so yeah, I've already taken Hope out. I'll see how he goes. At least he did eat something, but I had to hand feed him. Oh, maybe I might just quick send Mum a message to maybe get some more chicken. Hang on. Eh? What's this? I don't need... Just getting text messages from companies that I didn't sign up for. Okay. On the way home. Okay, so I've just sent a message to Mum to get some more chicken. Steamed chicken is what we've been doing. It's the same thing as boiled chicken, basically, but we've got a steam oven, so it's easy to make. He didn't want to eat even the fanciest dog food that we've got, so he just took some boiled chicken from my hand. And if that's all he wants to eat, I'll give him more. But, a Labrador not wanting to eat so much food is never a good sign, because Labradors love food. He's always been a little bit lower appetite, and I think it's because of whatever happened to him before we rescued him. But yeah, he still loves food, and if he's rejecting even these really tasty, seriously, this the fanciest one we've got almost looks like human food. It's got gravy and peas in it, and then the little squares of actual the more stuff that actually looks like dog food, but it's this gourmet kind of stuff. I'm like, wow. Yeah, anyway, so we don't know how much longer he's got or how much longer we should let this go on. And Mum is asking me. My thought was last week. So now what do I say? And I told her that, and I'm like, since he's my brother's dog and he wanted him to stick around, I'll go as far as I think he can tolerate. But I feel like he's already towards the end of that. It's a bit of a dilemma. And, Mum asking me, she's not good with emotional stuff, so she doesn't really want to make the call. But yeah, so I'm going to have to talk to her later. Anyway, What's less depressing, now that he's settled and he's not looking at me with that face, trying to remember what I was going to talk about. I didn't even get a chance to make my own lunch, because I took Hope for a walk. Took a bit longer than I thought it was. I'm sorry, all this is so ugly. Took a bit longer than I thought, and then trying to give him some food, and I didn't expect him to not eat. And I didn't expect to have to hand feed him, and then, just calling the vet for some advice. Satay chicken. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm careful about what I feed the dogs, especially because the little one, Hope, he's got stomach issues and has for a long time. So, yeah, I'm pretty strict. I think I finally got the family to stop giving them, random scraps for the most part. Although, like if he wants to eat something, just let him eat whatever at this stage. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference, I guess. Yeah, anyway, so what I was going to sit down and talk about is like, oh yeah, why it's just been really hard to make videos, really hard to get live streaming. So like, mum caught some kind of a bug, and so she was home a lot, and my best time to film is when she's at the gym like she is now. Her gym schedule has also changed, so I'm still trying to figure out what days I can film things. One of the tricky things is like when I see my psychologist is on one of the days that has been consistently good for me to film, so I can't film because I'm not at home. And then, so mom was a little bit sick for a bit. I got a little bit sick for a bit, but I don't know if I was like proper sick or if it was like hay fever sick. And then also I've had problems with sleep lately. So like I really don't know when I'm sick anymore, especially because the hay fever has gotten so weird. Like there's things I didn't realize hay fever could do to you. I thought hay fever just made you sneeze, but no, it gets into my ears now and does other annoying things to me. So that's another thing that's sort of gotten in the way of me making videos, looking after this boy. And feel like there was something else, but I've just completely blanked. Anyway, so yeah, I tried to give a little bit more warning for this one, but it was only by like half an hour. So again, I mean, that's because I was planning to film today and I was going to make videos to do with like, psychology things. Oh, that's another thing. Like there's so much that's happened since the last live stream I've done. I can't even remember how much stuff. So like, how do I even catch you up on what's going on? And yeah, things really confusing with my psychology. So I'm just working, like I don't even know how to approach my psychology. And this is beyond the SPD stuff. Although Wikipedia changed the abbreviation from SPD to like SZPD, which I think isn't that helpful because schizotypal also has a Z in it. So, but it seems like SPD has like sensory processing disorder is now what that's being used for instead of schizoid personality disorder. And like sensory processing disorder, I think isn't actually in any diagnostic manual, last I checked anyway. But there you go. There's autism stuff taking over everything again, as if other things don't exist. Anyway, so I think I need to like retrain my brain to not say SPD and just say schizoid. And leave it at that because I don't like the ZPD. It looks ugly and it's awkward and it doesn't really make sense in terms of specifying which disorder you mean. So, yeah. What was I talking about that for? Oh, my psychology. Yeah. Just beyond that stuff. So like, the schizoid stuff explained a good chunk of my psychology, but there's still an extra chunk that I'm trying to get my head around and don't know how to approach. And yeah, it's been kind of frustrating. So like if I try and update you on what's going on with my psychology when I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to go about things, like it feels like there's no point making those kinds of videos because the next week I might have changed my mind. And so yeah, that's another thing that's made it a bit hard to make videos, at least in terms of like personal updates. There is a list. Well, there's a couple lists. Like I've got lists coming out my ears. There's a couple of lists of things that I wanted to make more specific videos on and just haven't got around to. Also, I was filming a video to do with my computer again, but got distracted because it's just so hard to make videos. And the other thing is Mikey, my youngest brother, the one with disabilities, we've been keeping him up later at night, which to try and stop him waking up stupidly early and then waking up me and then ruining my, mental health for the day, although I'm pretty good at ruining my own mental health sometimes and feeling sad about this boy. But because he's staying up later, it means there's more going on in the hallway, so it takes me longer to feel like I can do other things. And then the other thing is at night I've been watching, I actually finished season 2 of Digimon, and now I'm back onto Dexter, and I'm watching it from the start, because now I've got season 8 on DVD, and do we call it season 9 or season 1 of New Blood? Like, is there? I won't go. Anyway, I've got the Blu-ray from my godmother, and so I'll work my way towards that. Yeah, live streaming's been difficult to do as well, unfortunately. But yeah, no, because I've been watching Digimon and now Dexter at night. Like, night is the other time I could film and do things, but not if I'm watching stuff. And then even when I watch stuff, I usually end up getting distracted, and then before I know it, it's 1 a.m. and I feel really bad and just need to crash into bed. So yeah, there's those things making things difficult. As for like Digimon season 1, for a kids show, it's freaking amazing. Like, there's so much they fit into 20 minutes, and most episodes are pretty decent and have like good things going on, and like complex things going on as well. Season 2, the first half of season 2 was really slow and hard to get through, and like sort of low intelligence, more of the kids stuff. Like, it felt a bit more like they were trying to advertise the product. And the new characters were very shallow. There's not a lot going on with them psychologically that's interesting. But once Ken is redeemed, I guess, once Hei goes through his whole issue thing, and then he sort of joins their team, that's when the more complex part of season 2 comes in, and it actually gets interesting. Most of the episodes from there are pretty good. The one that there's 3 episodes where they do a round the world tour. That was the least interesting part of the second half of season 2, I think, because I think they're trying to be like, look, Digimon around the world, how cool is that, kids? So it was a bit less of the complex stuff and more of the like just generic kids advertising type stuff. But yeah, no, there's actually so much that goes on in the second half of season 2 of Digimon that's actually complex. Although there are weird things like, because it's been so long since I watched Digimon, and picking up some of the more adult stuff, and also the things that the Americans censored from the Japanese version. I found a Tumblr where someone actually went through and listed differences between the Japanese and English versions. And so if I spotted something that I thought might be a dub change, I looked it up, and it's kind of funny. So in season 1 of Digimon, the most obvious one that stands out for me is they get captured and they're being guarded by this guy, but everyone's like the Digimon they're with, who have also been captured, they're like, oh, I know how to escape him. He really likes soda. If we give him enough soda, he'll get distracted and we'll be able to escape. That's what they say in the American version. But it's obvious what they mean is we're going to get him drunk. He likes alcohol. But they can't tell that to American kids. Japanese kids, I don't know, get shown a lot more weird stuff. American kids are wrapped in cotton wool and, very sheltered. It's interesting. And so there's stuff like that. They can't show alcohol consumption in the American version. And things like that. And even I think in the Japanese version, there's some Digimon that throw poo, but in the American version, they just call it Digi Slime or Sludge or something. That's kind of amusing. In season 2, my brain just went a bit I got a bit carried away and I can't remember what season 2. There's a few things. And then also apparently after September 11, they stopped showing the control spires being knocked down because they're vaguely like towers. It's like, okay, bit of a stretch. At least they didn't censor the show by replacing rice balls with hamburgers. Well, they didn't replace the rice balls, but there was some dialogue where they had like a picnic box kind of thing, and the lady was saying it's like sandwiches with the crust cut off, but in the Japanese version it was actually onigiri. So there is a bit of that. There was a bit of that censorship. Well, not really censorship, but maybe like because American kids don't know what an onigiri is, even if you called it a rice ball, they might feel a bit weird. Hey, so the start of this live stream, which you've missed now, but you can go back and watch later. Just depressing because yeah, my brother's dog isn't doing well. So yeah, a bit embarrassing for me to cry on camera, but I'm doing okay now. So let's keep thinking about Digimon instead of yeah. So Digimon season 2, what were the main differences? Oh, I think there's a bunch and I've just like lost my train of thought. So but yeah, no, there's some dark stuff that goes on in Digimon, and it's just really interesting for a kids show to see that kind of thing. And yeah, wow. And there are a few moments where it, like, you know, things get a little bit confusing, but things get tied together in the end pretty well. Oh no, if I have that thought again, I'll come back to it. How about Yu-Gi-Oh? Um, Warp Digivolve, yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh! So, like, I would like to get Yu-Gi-Oh! On DVD. I missed my opportunity a few years back, and so now I realize if I find a box set, I need to just buy it straight away, um, so I don't miss out. Um, so I'll keep an eye on it, and I guess one of those anniversary type dates, they'll probably put out another box set. Like, I'm talking original Yu-Gi-Oh!, not the weird things that came after. Yeah, if I can get that, that would be good. But I mean, I get the impression that Yu-Gi-Oh is for an older audience than Digimon, particularly because like card games have a bit more strategy, whereas Digimon you just like connected the little devices, and that's about as complex as it got. I still have mine somewhere, I think. I don't think I threw them out. They're probably in like a box in the back of somewhere. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Netflix is different around the world. So I did start watching Yu-Gi-Oh! On Netflix ages back, and then I forgot about it for a bit. And then, you know, maybe a couple months later when I tried to watch it again, they only had season 3. And I'm like, season 3? Why? I think there's a whole bunch of garbage that happens in the beginning of it, and it's just like not worth watching. So that was disappointing. And so that's why I want to get DVD rather than rely on streaming. I don't like streaming. We do. So my family watches it. They've got Netflix and Stan. I think they just got rid of Disney because no one's really watching it at the moment. Stan has a lot of the rugby garbage on it. Netflix is Netflix, but Netflix keeps getting worse because a lot of the other a lot of other companies have started their own streaming services, and I think this is the problem with streaming because it's turned out to be so popular. Is like every single company now has to have its own streaming service, and so every single one is slightly worse than it could be if you only had a few players in the market. But yeah, no, I just don't really like the whole idea. Yeah, it's getting more expensive. They're all competing with each other, but like, because they keep taking back their own licenses. Yeah, just, uh, I don't know. I like just because some new technology exists to me doesn't mean it's necessarily better. I guess with Netflix, most of it's in HD at least. I think it's all in HD these days, whereas DVDs are still SD, but my vision isn't that great. And also my computer, I think the graphics card on my computer does a good job of scaling things up so that it doesn't look too bad. Is HQ like 4K? But yeah, I don't really know what Canadian dollars are like. I assume it's sort of close to American dollars, maybe. I don't know. Well, we've got kangaroo funny money here, so um, yeah, I don't actually know how much Netflix costs here because I don't watch it. I don't pay for it. That's my family who are into that. Um, DVD companies can't take. Yeah, I mean, there's always a risk that the DVD will eventually get scratched and not be playable, but I've gotten so much value out of these, and I didn't have to pay a streaming service. And when it comes to series, like Dexter, I don't want to buy a whole new streaming service. Like, what is the New Blood on? Like Paramount or something? That's why I waited for the DVD or Blu-ray. My godmother got me the Blu-ray after I told her it's better quality, and I actually have a Blu-ray player on my computer these days, so I can finally do that. But like, I've had this for I don't know how long. I don't know how long I've had this. I've had it for ages, and I've watched it, more than once, and I don't have to pay however much money it is. And because I've lost my ability to binge, I can't get through a season fast enough to justify the cost of streaming. Yeah, well, Dexter has its up points and its down points, but what's really interesting, okay, so if we go to some psychology stuff, what's really interesting about Dexter for me now, now that I'm older and my brain's changed a bit, and also I've got the schizoid diagnosis, is like some of the quotes in here, especially in the first season. Like, when I was younger, I think I was like, this is relatable because he's screwed up. He has a bit of a double life. And we can talk about that at some other point. But like, my channel's called DestroyerMariko for a reason, even though I mostly present like this. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in my head, especially like back when people who watched my channel 10 years ago know more about that. I'm working through some of that stuff with my psychologist now. Netflix is $17 a month here for standard subscription. It's actually cheaper to be in a cult than watch Netflix. Yeah, okay. Well, so is it really $17 a month? I didn't realize it had gotten that much. Wow. Okay. Because I know you're Aussie, so that's who we'll ask. We will ask Jason Smith for any of the Australian versions of things information. Yeah, wow. Because like, buying these box sets these days is only like, 20 to 30 bucks. You remember when box sets first came out and it was like, $80 to $100 to buy a whole season of something, and now it's like 20 to 30. Anyway, so like it's going to take me probably more than a month just to watch one season anyway, especially because I get distracted and I can only watch 1 or 2 episodes a night. Maybe if I'm focused, I could get it done in less than a month. I don't know, but like, yeah, like for me to watch one show, cost effective more. It's more cost effective for me to just buy it on DVD or Blu-ray. Like even the Blu-ray, I think is probably only like $35. And then I can watch it as many times as I want until the discs eventually die, which takes a long time. The rarity of them. Oh, I'm not too worried about rarity or like I like having my collections, but in terms of value or anything, I'm not too fast. I'm into Dexter because of hearing you talk about it. I liked most of it except for the last season. I've heard the revival series is good. Yeah, I haven't watched New Blood yet. I have watched season 8, but I only watched it once, and I think I watched that with my ex, so that was 10 years ago, probably longer than 10 years ago. Wow, has that much time passed? And I remember when I was watching season 8, like season 8 is definitely not great. And the last 2 episodes were pretty bad. Could have done without them from memory. But the trouble with season 8 for me is like, somehow I got the wrong idea about what was happening. And so it was kind of confusing for me to watch because my brain was like, when my brain finally caught up to what was actually happening, yeah, I just completely misinterpreted the first few episodes, I think. So yeah, I've only watched it once, so it'd be interesting to watch it again just to see like what actually happened. And then in the last few years, I've only watched the seasons of Dexter that I really like. So season 1, season 2, season 6, and I think a bit of season 7, although that drops off at some point as well. I know everyone likes season 4, but I actually wasn't that into it, and I think it's partly because like I used to watch Third Rock from the Sun, and I just can't get Dick Solomon out of my head, and so it's really weird. Like, yes, I get it. I've typecast him in my head. I can't help it. it was just, yeah, weird for me, and I don't know, I guess it didn't have the themes that I was interested in, because like season 1, you're introduced to the character. He very strongly has the double life. That's the sort of thing I'm interested in. Season 2, he's like potentially going to be found out, and so that's a theme that interests me as well. Season 3, I think the first time I watched season 3 I enjoyed it, but the second time I couldn't finish it. I think the first time I enjoyed it because you had a friend you could actually share stuff with, which was probably interesting for me at the time, maybe because I was dating and I was in a very different mindset. But trying to watch it again, yeah, it just wasn't that interesting to me somehow. Maybe because he makes more mistakes. I don't like watching mistakes. Season 4 was just really weird. I think I only watched it the once and didn't come back to it. And I don't think it had much I was into. I think also season 4 is that when he has his own kid and like, when he's becoming more human in that way. I'm much more interested in how he is at the first half of this season because there's much more relatable stuff. Oh, I was talking about that before and I got off track onto a tangent, but like some of the quotes in this, like that he can't understand people. In the first episode, what was the quote? I've got it on my Facebook. Just checking some messages. Where are my quotes? Details about you. Favorite quotes. Where is it? In the first episode, he says, people fake a lot of human interactions, but I feel like I fake them all and I fake them very well. That's my burden, I guess. And so that's something I learned to do as well, is I can fake a lot of stuff that I need to through the situation. And at the time, I think I found that relatable from his more double life kind of thing. But now I find it more relatable knowing that I've got schizoid personality disorder. And it's just like, and then also I've got covert schizoid personality disorder, or I've developed the covert aspect of it. That's interesting. And so now I'm like, now that I know I'm schizoid, it's like I can understand why I was relating to those comments more. And there's a few others that pop up. I think I've only come across a couple others that I've put on my Facebook quotes, which you can only see if you're actually a friend of mine, and I'm not accepting friend requests from randoms as much these days. But yeah, no, so it's kind of interesting to watch again for that aspect. Season 4, there's a point in this where he sort of starts dealing with his relationship in a better way. But season 4, he's got that damn kid, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch a show where people have babies. Like, ugh. Dogs I like. Human babies, not really. So yeah, season 4. I know does anyone care about spoilers? If you care about spoilers, you're way late. So I know she dies at the end, but he still then has that baby going into the next seasons. Season 5, I think I only watched maybe once. So I don't remember very well, but that's another one where he's sharing his secret with someone, and so maybe that part is interesting to me, but yeah, not too keen on watching it again. Season 6, though, that's where all the weird religious stuff comes into it, and then there's also that guy who turns out he's seeing things and has a bit of a split personality thing going on himself in a weird way until YouTube thing. My connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Am I still online? Can someone confirm to me that it's still working? Because it just went really weird for a moment there. Before I keep ranting. Although, I should get something to eat at some point, so, if it's going to screw up my stream, maybe I should just stop. But that would be really short, because we haven't even hit an hour yet. Am I still live? Should I type? You're still okay. Thank you for confirmation. So season 6 had the religious stuff, bit more of a split personality-ish stuff, the weird religious stuff as well. That's a lot of fun. I grew up Catholic, and then in English classes, you're supposed to, I don't know if this is still a thing or if it's just my school, but you're meant to bring a book to read for like reading time or something. And sometimes I didn't have a book I was reading, and they didn't like me reading manga back when I had that. So sometimes I just read in the Bible the Revelation stuff, because that's where all the really weird stuff happens. I mean, there's plenty that goes on in the Bible, especially I think I've got a Catholic version of the Bible, and so there's some of the more screwed up stories are in that. I've talked to a few people like, hey, what about this story? And they're like, I don't have that in my Bible, and I didn't realize that there are different Bibles. So yeah, mine I think I've still got mine from high school, so I've probably had that since 2001. But yeah, no, so mine has some more screwed up stories, but Revelation is where the real fun, hallucination type stuff happens. And so I used to read that. And I think I worked out, because it was a Catholic school, they couldn't stop me from reading the Bible if I wanted to, instead of having a real book to read. Oh, sweetie. He's doing the loud breathing thing again, which is sad. But like, I used to read all of Animorphs. I can't remember what year that finished. That's like behind Fight Club and Venom and The Mummy is just like the whole Animorph series, including the Megamorphs books, the Alien books, and I think I've even got like a Choose Your Own Adventure book and something to do with the TV show. So like, yeah, when eBay was still good, I tracked down the books I was missing. Kim James version has all the old style language. What version is mine? Oh, I'd have to dig it up. I haven't touched it in a long time. There is a lot of dust, and it's sitting under a couple other books, including one about cults that I never finished reading, and the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which turned out to be quite dry as well. But I stopped I used to read a lot, and I think once I got a bit more internet addicted, during my last big depression, I stopped reading as much, which is a shame. I really should get back into it. But yeah, just so distracted these days. Anyway, so I used to read a lot of that Revelation stuff. I also used to do like this online RPG storytelling kind of thing. It's a bit different to like other online written RPGs, because we didn't have like dice or anything. It was more like collaborative storytelling, but with our own characters. And so there were some religious themes that came up in that, especially because one of the guys had an angel character. Yeah, the apocalypse is the best part of the Bible. Diabetics? Do you mean Dianetics? I do have a copy of Dianetics that I got from like a thrift shop. So I didn't have to give Scientology any money. I do have a book of Dianetics. I've not read it. I think I got that back when I was still with my ex as well. So wow, it's taken me 10 years to even think about the book again. Yeah, anyway, so I love the weird religious stuff, the hallucination stuff, the split personality stuff. Season 6 is really fun for me. Also has the guy from Battlestar Galactica, I think. Anyway, season 7. So like at the end of season 6, his sister walks in on him, and so season 7 is like when she finds out the secret, and that's a lot of fun for me as well. But I think about halfway through, things change a bit and it becomes less interesting, and I can't remember exactly why that is, but I think the build up from her, like, so I think it starts off with her walking in on him in the church, but then just thinking it's a one-off, but then she eventually finds out actually he's a serial killer. Those episodes are the most interesting to me. Once she knows, things get a little bit less interesting, I think, because the storyline shifts. And so that idea of being found out, yeah, that's really interesting. Then it drops off, and then the end of season 7 is a lot of fun. And then season 8, I really don't remember a whole lot, apart from it ending really crap and generally not being as good. And yeah, so that's what I've watched with Dexter. That's what I generally think about the different seasons. Oh, hang on, I better just check that this isn't oh my god, sorry, I have to look at family messages as well. What? Okay. Right, so yeah, so traveling at the moment is because my brother's gone on holiday during the school holidays. Can't be helped, he's a teacher, but like there's post COVID, the airports are struggling. We've known this for a long time. Oh dear. Oh yeah, no, I'm not the sort of person who would arrange to go on a flight anywhere when there's so much chaos and at the busiest times, and when, like, we've seen so many flights getting messed up. So and then this boy, I don't know how much longer he's got. Would be better if his favorite person in the whole world was still home for him, but unfortunately not. And yeah, so it looks like they can't get a flight back as early as they wanted, and so it's just going to be longer. And I don't know that he's going to last that long, so anyway, what can you do? Let's try not to get depressing again. Blah blah blah, Dexter. So I'm watching that. What else about Dexter? Well, I guess because it like feeds into some of the themes that my brain latches onto. That could be interesting in terms of like what I end up talking about in therapy. Oh no, there's more messages. I'm a bit hungry. So what else? I think that's all I really had in mind to talk. Hello! If you're down sometimes to stream and talk about, why don't you hit me up? Streaming now, and you're welcome to hop in anytime. I won't hear your vocal response, so yeah, whatever. Oh, yeah. I'm still, I think, so I mentioned earlier in the stream that things are just a bit chaotic, and I'm still, especially like, now that mom's gym routine has changed, I've still got to get used to like, when can I even stream? Or maybe I need to think of a different way to stream. Another thing I thought, so like I want to also make videos about more specific topics rather than just stream like this randomly, like the start of this stream not going to plan at all because emotions. So I want to make like some more set videos, but those ones I'm going to have to actually sit down and like focus a little bit more. So one of the things I've been thinking of is like, maybe I should just try the shorts thing more. Because it would be nice, like when I first started YouTubing, I did videos like every day. And I think that's a way to get into a habit, because like I keep falling out of the habit. And so I've been wondering, like, what if I did like a short, those annoying little things that are like TikTok, but what if I did a short like every day that I didn't upload something? And then maybe that would get me back into the habit of at least making some kind of content instead of not making any content. So, but yeah, I don't know. Does anyone care about shorts? And like, I don't even know how much I could fit into like 15 seconds, or I don't know what the maximum is. It's probably like a minute now. Oh my God, these messages are more distracting. Okay, I think everything's fine there. But yeah, so you do enjoy shorts? Okay. Yeah, I'm just not really sure what, I mean, I guess I'll just make them however I want to make them. And just, pollute shorts with my stuff instead of just everything else in YouTube. I guess there's a part of me though, like, that wants to do things well, even if I don't care about shorts. Like, there's still a part of me that's like, I want to do things right. And this is one of the tricky things about my psychology, is working out like negotiating between the different parts and the different values, and just like, But ultimately, it probably doesn't matter whether or not my shorts end up good or not. It might just be a way to give like a quick update of whatever's gone on for that day in a really short form that's less stressful. Like I don't have to put too much concentration into. And maybe I'll see how that goes. So yeah, because like I want to live stream more, especially I think if you guys have been paying attention to my community tab, and there've been a few updates, but I think a few updates ago, I was talking about how I did teaching for bonsai, and I just felt my voice was not coping by the end of the day. Because like usually with teaching bonsai, I'm just an assistant, so my boss would do the presentation, the demonstration, and then they'd get into the practical, and I would help out with the practical. I see those writing your... Eh? And the only thing is, why does that have to be only on paper or song? That's just... Huh? I don't understand. And the only thing is, why does that have to be only on paper or song? That's just... I don't understand that comment. It's a bit of a confusing comment. Where was I? Yeah, no. So yeah, usually in the practical, I would assist the students, make sure that they're doing things the right way, answer any questions as best I can, help out if they can't find the front of the tree, like advice like that. But then in the most recent teaching, I actually did the demonstration. So my sensei, she did the presentation because my boss was away, and I did the demonstration. And there were 2 classes that day, so I did the demonstration twice, and so a lot more talking, and then after that, helping out with things, with their practical, and then answering questions and things like that. And so after that much talking, I could, like, even after the first class, I could feel my voice was not, like, I was still talking fine, but I could feel a bit of fatigue there. And so I think because I haven't been making as many videos, because I haven't been live streaming as much, my voice hasn't been getting as much practice, because I also haven't been singing that much. I really need to get back into the habit of singing more, but yeah, it's just not really happened. It's really hard to concentrate. I think although, like, not sleeping well and feeling like I was getting a little bit sick probably didn't help. So yeah, I do want to try and get better with my YouTubing again, so that when I do need to talk in the real world, uh, my voice has had the practice. Because if I don't keep it up, I feel like I'm losing it. And one of the things that YouTube has turned out to be good for is helping me with that sort of stuff. And I guess the whole covert schizoid thing, yeah, having a bit more practice that way. So with that in mind, that's why I said I want to live stream more. But if my life is getting interrupted a lot and I keep falling out of the habit, maybe I do need to set a goal of uploading something, anything, every day, even if it's like some dumb short. Maybe that'll help me get into the habit, because habits are formed by consistency. I do have some habits that I've developed over time. So one of my habits is every Sunday I'll do cleaning. I've been doing that since I got back from Japan in early 2018, pretty much every week. And if I didn't do it on a Sunday, I either shifted it to Saturday or Monday. And so I've just gotten it done pretty consistently. And for a while, I was reporting on Facebook to my friends, that I've done this for my cleaning. I only stopped that because Facebook, I'm just tired of their censorship, and I'm engaging less with Facebook. So, but that's fairly recent. So, a good, what year is it? Oh, wow. So I've done like 4 years of cleaning and reporting to Facebook, and after 4 years, it's now a habit. So even though I'm not telling Facebook I'm doing my cleaning, I'm still doing my cleaning on Sunday, because otherwise I live in chaos. I mean, you can see, pile of pants there. But look at how clean my carpet is, because it's Monday. So yesterday I cleaned. There are some things that are shoved to the side, but otherwise everything's quite open. Whereas in the past, I've seen pictures of how I used to live, and there was just stuff all over the floor. And yeah, so now I've gotten into the habit of living in something resembling order. And yeah, so habits can be formed like that. Another habit I have is, I think it must have been when one of my cousins came over. Or maybe when I went there and I saw her doing like exercises at night, and so I've gotten better at doing my own exercises at night. And so every night before I go to bed, there's a bunch of exercises I will do. So even if I haven't been out to, like walk the dog or do whatever else, I'm still getting some level of exercise. It's not really aerobic, it's more like stretches and sit ups or whatever. But I'm still getting some kind of exercise. And so that's a habit I've managed to form. And so maybe I can use the shorts thing. I know there's some of my viewers who aren't interested in the shorts, but maybe that's a way to sort of just get back into the habit of posting more stuff on YouTube. Even if it's garbage and not very meaningful, at least I'm doing something, and then build it up until I can get a more stable time to, one, make videos, and two, organize live streams and give you more than half an hour's warning that I'm going to be on. So that's something I'm thinking. Also in the community tab, so I've still got that poll open for the, which merch thing I should go to. For a while it was sitting at 5 votes with only 1 vote between the 2 options until Paper Vampire changed his vote to make one more conclusive. Since then, another person, a 6th person, has voted and makes it even more conclusive. But if there's anyone who hasn't voted, who has an opinion, it would be nice if you could vote so that I can get a really clear idea of which merch option to go with. I think it's Spread Shop and Spring. Now, I don't care if you want to buy any merch or not. That's not the question. The question is not, do you want to buy my merch? The question is, which merch shop is better? So even if you don't want any of my merch when I eventually get around to it, if you have an opinion on which one is better, that would be helpful. I just want to know which one to go for, because I want to make stuff for myself, but I don't want to go with whichever company is worse. I want to go with the better company. So, but it's really hard to find good information on the internet because people are all over the place, and some are more loyal to one or the other. So if anyone has an opinion, please go vote in that. Because I'm leaning towards one now, and so if you've already voted and you can see the results, you'll see which one is in front at the moment. So I guess I'll just let that poll go until I actually sit down and get things set up. But it would be nice to have a few more votes just so that I can be a bit more confident, yes, that's the one we're going to go for. And then I will make my little culty shirts. I joined a cult and all I got was this shirt, or I started a cult and all I got was this shirt, my little logo thingy. I had a folder of stuff, a folder of ideas, and then I realized I had another document full of ideas. So I need to sort out, what's actually good and what was just funny at the time. And then I can start making that. That would be kind of amusing. So that's those main things. Poor baby. Poor baby. I really need to talk to Mum when she gets back about what we're going to do. At the moment, I'm penciled in to get a phone call from the vet that he's been seeing just to go through some things. But I'm supposed to be working tomorrow. So, my boss is pretty good, but, I don't really want to be crying at work. Which I think, even though now I'm doing okay, and now I'm completely detached from at the start of this live stream when I was really upset. I remember being that upset, but I'm sort of detached from it now. And so I'm not sure what it's going to take to trigger me to feel that level of emotion again. And that's just this weird experience I have, is just the start of this video, I was really struggling. Now I've talked about a few other things. My mind's detached from that. And even though he's still there doing the breathing thing, I'm doing okay. And I just have a disconnection from what I was feeling. And so that's some of the stuff that I'm struggling with in terms of my psychology, is just my experience of things feels a bit disjointed. And then I was talking to a friend about the shifts in my state of mind, and he reckons he doesn't experience that. And I'm like, really? Not even at a mild level? Because there are some things about the way that my brain works that I think are actually normal things that are just slightly exaggerated, or that I notice more than other people. But I'm pretty sure everyone goes through it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am experiencing things that other people don't. or that like, only people with similar, mental illness or similar ways of thinking might experience. I don't know. It's hard for me to know. And then I also don't know how to interpret the things that I'm going through. Like what model of psychology is most relevant. I don't know. And then like how much of it is just me overthinking until nothing makes sense anymore. But then is that its own thing? Anyway, so we have hit 1 hour mark, and I think I've said the main things that I was thinking of to say. I don't remember what else I was going to say about Digimon Season 2. Oh, I remember now! Digimon Season 2! So one of the other things that didn't get censored that I was surprised is there's a couple of Digimon who are like bad guys in sort of from the middle of Season 2. And I swear to God, even in the American version, they basically have a BDSM relationship. And so I was just like filming clips to send to some friends, like, am I imagining this? Because the girl, she's painted as the mastermind, and then she's got like so it's Arukenimon and Mummymon. And Arukenimon, oh, my brain's getting confused because it wants to say the Japanese pronunciation, even though that's not what they used in the American version. But so Arukenimon, she's like, yeah, pretty nasty. Whereas Mummymon is like obsessed with her, and she just like throws him off a cliff and he hits something and falls down, and then he gets up and he's like, every time she does that to me, I feel closer to her. And then there's a few things that happen after that. And I'm just like, how did this not get censored? And then there's a few more other moments, and I'm just watching it, like pausing it, rewinding it, taking a video clip on my phone and sending it to some friends, like, seriously, like this is, and it's just the most bizarre thing. Like, I know as a kid, we would have just thought it was like some weird, funny thing. But as an adult watching it, I'm like, that is definitely a BDSM relationship. Like, how is it not? I was just surprised that America didn't censor that. I mean, I guess they are relying on kids to not know that much, but yeah, it's weird to watch as an adult. Especially, it would have been something that I didn't pick up on when I was younger. Like, the things that I most remember when I was younger was Ken's story and the bits and pieces from that. The rest of the story I wasn't that interested in. Ken's story was really interesting to me. So yeah, I completely forgot so much stuff about season 2 of Digimon. And that was not something I expected to pop up in the show. So yeah, the censorship between the Japanese and American versions, there's some interesting things. I mean, they were more concerned with the idea of Ken and some other kid kicking small animals. Like, they didn't show that on camera. There's also like some few moments of impact where they'd show a flash of light rather than show the actual impact. There are a few things where I think the American version did improve over the Japanese version, and then there's other bits where maybe they lost a bit. So it's kind of a negotiation. So like, even though the American version has censorship in it, when I went back and read some of the parts that I wondered about, actually the American version sounded better. Yeah. Would have been easier to just go through it as I was watching it. Maybe I should have done that with like shorts and been like, just watch this and this is what I noticed. But I don't know if anyone gives a shit, and it's a little bit extra work. But no, maybe I should, though, make some kind of an effort to do some kind of short thing every day. I don't know if anyone cares. And so yeah, I'm getting hungrier. I've made it this far through the mini M&Ms that my brother got me for my birthday. It's taking me a long time because I only eat a little bit at a time. Yeah. I think I'm running out of puff, unless someone like has anything in particular to get me started on another tangent. Keeping in mind, I don't know what time Mum's going to come home. I assume she will have gone to lunch after the gym, but there's no guarantee about that. But if no one has any comments, I might wind it up and go and get myself something to eat and just look after this boy a little bit more. Not that there's anything I can do other than give him pats. Yeah, I was surprised that sort of relationship got in. But then again, like, season 1 had kids with divorced parents and that complexity, and, yeah, just, like, stuff that I wasn't expecting. Um, Season 2, I think they tried to do a little bit of, like, imply that one of the characters was depressed. I mean, Ken goes through a bit of depression, but I think Kari, they imply that she's got something going on in her head, but it just didn't seem that convincing to me. I think the trouble with season 2 is, like, they'd make the characters complex only when it suited the story. Like, they didn't foreshadow things, and so when a character is going through something, it's like all of a sudden, suddenly they have this issue that I was just, like, not convinced by. So the writing was not as good, especially for the newer characters in Digimon Season 2. Um, yeah, the original characters seem to have more of their insecurities built in from the start and all those different things going on. I think the only new character in Digimon Season 2 who really, like, main character, who really had any complexity was Ken. And, like, they go through his background, and he's even got childhood trauma in there, and I'm just like, "Wow, never watched it before." Yeah. Oh, it was surprisingly interesting. I mean, I liked Digimon when I was younger, so if you're not into that stuff, I don't know how you'll go with it, but, yeah. And yeah, the childhood trauma stuff, I wouldn't have paid much attention to at the time, but now that I know I've had my own sort of trauma with the whole schizoid thing and, having disabled brother, like, it's not the usual sort of trauma, but it is a type of trauma, and now I'm like, "Oh, okay." So they did try and explain how he got that way in a more of a reasonable way, and now I kind of understand all that stuff a bit better. I mean, there's still so much I don't know about trauma because it was never interesting to me because I didn't think I had any. And I think, like, part of the way that my disorder has happened is sort of to, I mean, a lot of these things happen to protect you in some way. And so maybe it was trying to protect me from the vulnerability or something like that. So, like, I think I was just not able to recognize that I had any kind of trauma for a long time because, people would ask me, it must be hard having a disabled brother. And I'd just be like, I'd not known anything else. But now when I think about it, actually, yes, it was hard. And it still is hard. Um, but yeah, I think I just, as a kid, was a lot less able to cope with things. And so that's why my brain has shut off a lot of emotion in the normal human way, and some of it I think has permanently screwed me up. Although it does sound like I was always going to be a weird kid one way or another, but that's probably exacerbated the way I ended up like this. It's really hard to untangle. But if I was predisposed to being a bit odd, and then I had all that happen to me, that's probably just, yeah, made it more of a thing. So, um, and then I'm still untangling just how messed up I am. But I'm not really ready to talk about some of that stuff yet. I really need to see my psychologist. Like, we had the Queen's death holiday thing, so I didn't see the psychologist last week. And I've also only got maybe 6 sessions left. So do I need to space them out to every 2 weeks to get to the end of the year? Maybe. Do I need to see her every week? Probably not, because, like, it's not really helping. But, like, if I see her every week, maybe we'll get to something faster. I don't know. Um, Maybe that's a vain hope that's not going to play out. I'm not sure. But I think that's why I was inclined to go every week because, like, maybe this week we'll figure it out. So, maybe I'll just need to do every 2 weeks so we can get close to the end of the year, and then maybe I can self-fund 1 or 2, and then we get into next year and I can apply for more sessions. But I don't know if the COVID thing is coming back, so I might only get 10 sessions for next year instead of 20. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna figure it out with a psychologist or whether I need to see if there's any way to get funding for more sessions because there's so much to untangle, like, beyond the SPD stuff. The SPD stuff to me actually seems quite normal in a way. Normal. It's the weirder things that go on in my head that I'm still trying to understand and get my head around. And, it's annoying that I can't, like, I don't have a diagnosis for that stuff because I feel like if I did, I'd be able to figure out how do I deal with it better. But there's still, we're still, like, thinking of possibilities, and nothing seems to fit. And so it feels like going through the whole thing before I got the SPD diagnosis, the schizoid diagnosis. Because before that, I'm like, nothing fits and I'm so confused. And then I figured it out and I thought, wow, I figured myself out. But no, there's still extra stuff. And so I'm still thinking nothing fits until we hopefully eventually find the thing that fits. But I'm not aware of anything that does. So yeah. Anyway, am I running out of steam properly? Yeah, he doesn't want to be alone. I think he knows something's up. I think dogs can smell cancer. Some types of dogs can smell some types of cancer. I'm not sure if he can smell it in himself, and maybe he knows. Sounds frustrating, but keep that. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, figuring myself out. And I know because I keep notes for my psychologist, and because I've been writing about him, there's a chance we could get derailed and talk about grief instead. I think though, even though I'm showing the emotion in terms of the final decision for him, I've sort of already come to terms with it. I think for the most part, when it actually happens, that'll be difficult, but. He's been declining for quite a while. And even before my brother took him to get the x-ray that showed, yes, he has this in his lungs. I could sense before that something was not right. No one believes me. I mean, he's got lumps all over the outside of his body. Of course, he's got them on the inside too. And there was maybe a few months back when he was if he rolled the wrong way and something would shift in his throat and then he'd need to get up and gag. To me, that was a sign ages ago. And he's an old dog. We've had him since 2013. He was at least a year old, possibly 3 years old. So somewhere between 1 and 3 years old then. We don't really know for sure. So he's more than 10 years old at this point. And for a Labrador, I mean, our last Labrador went when we were in 2001. So she was 11 when we had to let her go. And for these big dogs, I think some Labradors can get to maybe 14, but they don't look in good shape by that point. And so I've been, as the dogs get older, I've just sort of been they're going to go soon enough. I thought I was going to lose hope in 2020, my little dog, because, of what he was going through. I mean, he had to have a blood transfusion and he was doing really badly for a while there. And I didn't realize that animal medicine had come so far, and the treatment for him was they assured me it was worth doing. His quality of life would be better. It's not like treating cancer where the cancer treatment is probably worse than just going without. Cancer treatment is difficult even for humans. Imagine a dog who can't understand what's going on and who doesn't have a long lifespan anyway. It's just not worth it. But yeah, no. So he's at that age. He's been at that age where I've been thinking for more than a year, probably. Where I'm I don't know much longer he's got, because he's sort of gradually slowed down anyway over time. Don't know how long the lung cancer's been going on in there. So I've had a long time to think. He's not going to be around for that much longer. It's just the final decision. I've been having moments where I do get emotional, at the start of this live stream, whereas now I'm talking about it fine, and I don't understand what makes the difference. Maybe it's because before the stream I was talking to someone on the phone about it, and yeah, really since that really big depression from 2015 until late 2017 or early 2018, something about that changed my brain, I think. And so I'm more inclined to just get suddenly upset, and I have no control over it. That's the weirdest thing. I used to be able to hold back more of the emotion, but now it just it's so weird. And see, this is another thing that messes up my sense of self, is that emotion. I know emotions aren't logical and you can't really control them, but to that extent, it's just it messes me up in my head and I don't know what to think of it. But yeah, no, so I was bringing that up because my psychologist might want to talk about it. Yeah, okay, clearly there are signs that I'm upset, even if I'm not connected to the feeling of being upset. Like, maybe this is the dissociation thing where sometimes I'll be connected to the feeling and sometimes I just not. Maybe my brain is shutting it down because it's too hard to deal with. So it's like, nah, just not gonna feel that right now. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. Like, oh, brains are weird. So maybe that's what's going on with me. But yeah, so I don't feel like I need to talk about what's going on there with my psychologist, but that might derail things and take away from the sense of self stuff. Although maybe I should bring up the fact that I did get emotional and then disconnected again. Maybe that's something worth talking about. Yeah, no, my sense of self and my experience of the world and like the continuous experience of the world, I just feel like yeah, things are sort of chopped up and I very quickly disown my own experience in some kind of, and I just like I know it's happening and I there's no way for me to control it. It's just something I'm observing in myself, and that's just how my brain seems to work, and it's confusing, and things are hard to plan because I don't know how I'm going to wake up tomorrow, like what mood I'm going to be in, what state of mind I'm going to be in, what my energy levels are going to be like. It's very hard to plan my life. And I don't concentrate as well as I used to. I think some of that is internet addiction, but also the depression, and then whatever else is going on with my brain. It's really confusing. Um, yeah, so that's what's going on in my head. I think, yeah, I'm pretty hungry. It's oh my god, it's 2 o'clock. I probably should go and get something to eat and maybe make some tea. Maybe that's why I'm starting to feel a bit. I can feel the edge of being lightheaded, and I'm not sure if the lightheadedness is part of the dissociation issues because I have noticed that in connection. But on the other hand, not eating and I'm skinny as it is. Oh, mum's here. I've got to go. Bye. I'm here.